Welcome everyone back to another episode of Macro Crypto. We're taking a deep dive into the metaverse today, giving you our top 3 plays for the metaverse. Remember, do your own research, especially when it comes to a project like the metaverse itself. None of this content in today's video is financial advice by any means. We are purely here for entertainment purposes, obviously. So with that being said, if you do enjoy today's content though, go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel, head over to our Twitter page at Macro Crypto Club and give us a follow. Like always, the link will be down in the description below. Let's dive into the content. Today's number 3 choice is Sky Breech, right off of the Polkadot and Kusama networks. Their native token is RMRK, which I believe stands for remarkable. That price is currently sitting at $16.42 is their native token, which is going to be used to purchase and for their governance, how they're going to operate. A little quick introduction. I'll create a link in the description as well for Subsocial for Sky Breech if you want to look into it, because it is such an early adoption for this project that basically you can still get into the governance phase of it. Land hasn't even been sold. That's going to be coming in 2022. They basically use Sandbox as an idea of most projects in today's day and age go for the 3D model. They're aiming for more of a 2D type model, very similar to how I remember in the nostalgia of like Pokemon or, you know, the Link games itself. That is kind of the direction they're heading for their graphics, which makes a lot of sense as well, because they want to be able to be utilized for people that are sitting at a bus station or that are waiting for a meeting inside of a building, or if they can be at their desktop at home, but they can be anywhere and play it from their phones or at a desktop computer and be able to enjoy the metaverse. That is Sky Breech. So also a little further down, if you remember, we did hint on these Canary birds, how they're going to be so important to the ecosystem. These are the avatars that are going to be used for the governance. So you'll see these in just shortly here. It is the spirit of the Canary bird itself. And these avatars are going to be what governs the metaverse. And also then, if you own one, you have a voting power on what other avatars are going to be allowed to come into the ecosystem as well, moving forward. So that's just dope, just outright in that regard. Another thing is the land itself is going to be NFT sets where you're going to be able to purchase land coming up in 2022. We'll drop a little tweet out when you have that opportunity. You can set yourselves up right now through this link to get yourself not whitelisted per se, but on their notifications through email when that does go live. So this project, highly bullish on into the metaverse, of course, with the Polkadot ecosystem. As we can tell, we are groupies with Kusama and Polkadot. Here's the Canary birds that we were going over. Currently, the floor price sitting at 12.3 KSM. This is basically a governance token to being a part of this build and having voting rights for the project itself. And also within the Sky Breech itself, it's going to be basically one land that starts to just break off into other sky bridges and sky islands, floating islands out there, and how that's evolves over time. Your best guess right there is as good as mine. It's just going to be chaos, and I love it. So take a dive into that project. That's number 3, most risky play, of course, but with the highest potential. With it, you know, risk comes reward, right? So let's go ahead, dive into number 2. It's Decentraland, their native token being Mana. Currently, right now, the price is $2.25. Look, if everyone's kind of has a fight between Decentraland and Sandbox, it's just a preference on a few factors for me personally. I like Decentraland more than Sandbox because of the graphics. That's where I kind of relate more than, you know, the block that's in Sandbox. And others have different opinion on that. Sandbox is also massive. There's more land available, which also draws people. I like the smaller environment, even though Decentraland's still massive in its own right. And also, it's the first metaverse on the Ethereum network. It gives the most potential for the future to just be highly successful. $2.25 per mana is still crazy expensive in my mind, considering how much land costs in Decentraland. But, you know, from where it's going to be in 10 years, this is probably still a steal for mana. But basically give you a little introduction. Decentraland is a decentralized virtual reality platform powered by the Ethereum blockchain. Within Decentraland platforms, users can create, experience, and monetize their content and applications. So Decentraland started this whole process. They were the first movers, and their use cases is what's also driving every other metaverse, okay? So this finite transferable 3D virtual space within Decentraland is called land. So all their land is then parceled into non-fungible tokens for people to buy and then build off of it. The more you own around it, the higher you can build and the more that you can utilize it, whether it's also for multitude of reasons. This we'll get into in a second. This right here is their marketplace. You can buy land off of OpenSea, of course, but you can go directly to their marketplace and use mana for purchasing of land. Currently, the lowest is 5,100 mana, just over probably, what would that be, $11,000. Parcel land is the cheapest piece of land within Decentraland. Crazy when it was not like that so long ago. But of course, once Facebook became and rebranded as Meta, everything changed and skyrocketed. But still, into the future, if you're into NFTs, even if you thought they were JPEGs, they evolved over time and everybody, and that thing is massive. This, very similar. You know, they're all going to lock us humans into the metaverse and just, you know, joking, of course. But everything's getting digitized, and the metaverse and plots of land, real estate, how we interact with one another. This is a chance that it's going to be this, you know, some form of this for multitude of reasons to get outside of the real world, you know, and I'm definitely investing in it. Not a recommendation by any means. Just do your own research. So diving into that's the cheapest price within their marketplace. Use cases, whether that's basically Decentraland will gather around neighborhoods and shared interests. Being located near high traffic hubs will drive users and landowners content. So driving up your prices depending on where you are. Very similar to the real world. The more high sought after areas, the more centralized you are to the ecosystem, the higher price of real estate, of course. Advertising, you can use billboards. You can build on top of the platform. They also talk about maybe an area becomes more like how in New York City, like Times Square, where advertising's everywhere within Times Square. That hub can be somewhere within Decentraland. So let's go ahead, take a quick look into Decentraland. As you can tell right here, we got the night sky. We look around and I am the only soul in sight. But if you go more towards the middle of where their square is, where everybody's at, you will start to see more people. But we just want to take a quick gander around for you guys. Looking around, checking out this place. I can't say it enough that, you know, it's a crazy concept to even imagine that people would sit here and just be playing this game nonstop. But what can be built into this, I think we don't understand the concept fully yet to rationalize purchasing a piece of land within Decentraland or Sandbox or whatever your favorite project is. But at the end of the day, this is something that the future has set because there's so many big companies like Nike or Amazon, all these Walmart going into and diving a lot of money into the metaverse and in the NFT space. The NFT space is connected to the metaverse, okay? Realize that. World's changing. Jump on that ship. Not financial advice by any means, okay? Lastly, number one in my heart is Starlink. It's the Starlink metaverse itself is also Starlink is the token within the metaverse. It's currently, as you can see, just there's 10 trillion tokens on this platform, mind you. Okay, that's why there's 4 zeros before that first one. But it gives you a bunch of tokens when you dive into the project. You just kind of got to get this on Uniswap. Other projects, you can always go on to CoinGecko, check out the market so you know where to get these types of tokens, whether that's Mana or RMRK. Diving in the Starlink on why it's my number one pick is because it's not as known as Decentraland or Sandbox. It's still something that's being built from the ground up, and it has the opportunity to just give that wow factor. It's different. It's how they're doing land. They're in space. They're going to have games within their games. Then they're going to have games that you can build within that platform. And then you're going to have their real estate as their satellite, or not their satellites, their living modules. And then they have satellites that earn income and then how it's distributed. And then they have the pixel knots for basically for your avatars. It's endless on what this capability, and they're not even live yet. So here's some videos, like what they're, it's completely separate on, as you can tell, more realistic in this model, this 3D model, than any of the other picks. And I think it can become draw dropping if they live up to these types of visualizations. So just to look into what they're building, stadiums. This is one a live little thing that they let a few people into their theater where the jumbotrons are. How this is going to turn out, how they're going to operate, yet to be seen. But the reason why I'm also super bullish on this project is because they did a fair tokenomics launch, meaning nothing went to the devs. There was no pre-tax on these. There was actually 20.8 billion tokens burned, and currently there's 26,000 holders of Starlink, okay? And they have their own marketplace, so they're not going to be needing OpenSea. If OpenSea goes down or all these other marketplaces, you can utilize their marketplace within Starlink, okay? As you can tell, here's their pixel knots, but more importantly, there's 214 living modules. And real quickly, here's a nice view of the living module. It's supposed to be gigantic with inside it, but this is something that would connect to their space station that they're building within their metaverse. And this is like almost like if it's a plot of land, okay? So just a little bit of deep dive into those top 3 projects. I did want to give a small bonus piece of content, as this is not a metaverse, but vEmpire DAO has their hand in the cookie jar on a lot of metaverses, and they have a lot of basically land, whether that's in Decentraland, Sandbox. They have like 18% of the living modules in Starlink. Their token's currently at 9 cents. Their high was over 50 cents per token. They're building play to earn games within Sandbox. I'm sure they'll do that with other ecosystems. They're doing that with NFTs like Arabian camels. And vEmpire also allows you to place your tokens onto their platform like Ethereum, Mana, Starlink. And if you lock them up for a certain time, they'll reward you with what their VEMP, their token. And then with their VEMP, you can lock it up and earn 15% on top of that VEMP. So that way you're basically compounding on top of your own VEMP that you're earning for what you allowed them to stake. It's crazy. Just a recommendation to go look into vEmpire. They got their hands in all across the board on the metaverse. Wild pick, I should say. Not try. What am I saying over here? Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the content, everybody. This is the metaverse. This is our future. Peace, everybody.